Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Now that the Russia hoax has been proven a lie, when do we start to see people arrested? We're going to start to see Obama arrested. So what is the what is the deal? We're not going to see him arrested. I think it's very it would be very unusual if he gets arrested, right? So that's my take on it. I think it's going to take we the people pushing that to make that happen. And when it does, if it does, that will be an amazing event. But given the nature of things right now, I do not see Obama being arrested. But things could change. We have heard from Juan O'Savin that he believes that we're going to see those people that were involved in that arrested soon, the top tier. So that remains to be seen. It will be interesting if it does happen, and that's what we want to see. Now, what is leading us to this? So Tulsi Gabbard calls for Obama to be prosecuted over 2016 election claims. So Trump intelligence chief accuses ex-president and others of treasonous conspiracy for alleging Russian interference. So Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, has called for Barack Obama and former senior U.S. national security officials to be prosecuted after accusing them of a treasonous conspiracy intended to show that Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election was due to Russian interference. She said Obama and senior officials in his administration had laid the groundwork for a years-long coup against Trump after his victory over Hillary Clinton by manufacturing intelligence to suggest that Russia had tried to influence the election. That included using a dossier prepared by British intelligence analyst Christopher Steele that they knew to be unreliable. So the Christopher Steele dossier was paid for by the Democratic National Committee. So the DNC basically paid for that dossier at Hillary Clinton's push. She pushed them to do that. Right. So they're all guilty. They're all guilty. We've known this. We've said it for a long time. Have any of these people ever been held up on treason charges? So this will be the first time ever for a U.S. president to be held up on treason charges. Will he be executed? Will he spend the rest of his life in jail? I was thinking that I would have a show with other influencers, and in that show we would do a tactical civics trial, right? So that's where I think this really goes. People will form up civics groups in certain towns or whatever, and they will try these people. They're bringing evidence, witnesses, and so forth, and basically do a trial and either convict or found innocent. So I would say that probably no one's going to represent them. They will have to represent themselves after they're convicted or whatever, and we'll go from there. I really think that's where this is going. I don't think that we're going to see any of this happen with any administration that we see now, because they're all super corrupt, completely and unbelievably corrupt. Now we know that Trump, over the last 4 years, before he got back into office, was in the background, massaging things and making things happen. Commander in chief in the background, basically doing things. Now this is something I think is going to be revealed, and he's done a lot of things in the past to help people wake up. Remember the Operation Warp Speed, right? So we have seen a lot of these things that Trump has done in the past, and we're going to talk about some other ones that he's done more recently. Now this is let me share the screen so you guys can see this. This is actual. This came from Director of National Intelligence's office. So Office Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, news release, July 18th. New evidence of Obama administration conspiracy to subvert President Trump's 2016 victory and presidency. So this is official national intelligence. So here we go. In the months leading up to November 2016 election, the intelligence community consistently assessed that Russia is probably not trying to influence the election by using cyber means. December 7th, 2016. So moving up in time. After the election, talking points were prepared for Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, who we know is a bad boy, right? Stating foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. So here's a baddie that's basically saying, yeah, there was nothing there. And then December 9th, President Obama's White House gathered top national security council principals for a meeting that included James Clapper, John Brennan, CIA head, Susan Rice, or former CIA. I can't remember if he was still CIA or not. He was in there when I was there. But Susan Rice, John Kerry, Loretta Lynch, Andrew McCabe, and others to discuss Russia. So a group of baddies, as we know them now. After the meeting, DNI, Clapper's executive assistant, so they got in there and they discussed how they were going to try and take down Trump, obviously. So the DNI Clapper's executive assistant sent, so this is deep state activity right here. People like this basically got together and decided on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And they tried to do the same, not assassinate him, maybe they did later on, but they did not. They decided to basically take him out through other means. After the meeting, DNI Clapper's executive assistant sent an email to IC leaders tasking them with creating a new IC, intelligence community assessment, per the president's request. So Obama's request, okay, right? That details the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election. It went on, it went on to say, ODNI, Office of Director of National Intelligence, will lead this effort with participation from CIA, FBI, NSA, and DHS. Obama officials leaked false statements to media outlets, including the Washington Post, claiming Russia has attempted through cyber means to interfere in, if not actively influence, the outcome of election. So Obama and his team are very astute at doing false statements to media outlets. Remember Benghazi, right? So that was a false media statement that came out that saved President Obama from basically being unelected, right? So because they lied, he became president again. All right, he got another term. But if the truth had come out about Benghazi, he would not have been elected. If the truth had come out about Russia and about Hunter Biden's laptop, instead of all 51 intelligence officials saying that was a Russian, again, another Russian disinformation campaign, if the truth of that had come out, then Biden would have not been elected, right? So these guys have been leaking false statements, false information, and now they're getting called out on it. So what happens now? So then on January 6, 2017, a new intelligence community assessment was released that directly contradicted the IC's assessments that were made throughout the previous 6 months. So months of investigation, manufactured Steele dossier, not credible, President Trump's victory, years-long Mueller investigation just dragged it all out, 2 congressional impeachments, high-level officials being investigated, arrested, thrown in jail, heightened U.S.-Russia tensions, and more. So this is her statement, Tulsi Gabbard, DNI. The issue I am raising is not a partisan issue. It is one that concerns every American. So we've seen this happen over and over again where the deep state comes in and sabotages our country. This is what she's saying here. The information we are releasing today clearly shows there was a treasonous conspiracy with all of those people that were in that meeting in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government. Their goal was to subvert the will of the American people and enact what was essentially a years-long coup with the objective of trying to usurp the president from fulfilling the mandate bestowed upon him by the American people. So his whole administration was like just one long, rush of, BS claims, and it, hampered him from, making America greater than he did during his first term. Their egregious abuse of power and blatant rejection of our Constitution threatens the very foundation and integrity of our democratic republic. I completely agree. By not arresting all of those people and putting them in jail or executing them for treason is another assault on our Constitution and way of life. Because if you let criminals get away with criminality on this level, you think they're not going to do it again? Of course they are, and they're trying to do it right now in a lot of different ways. No matter how powerful, every person involved in this conspiracy must be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. The American people's faith and trust in our democratic republic, and therefore the future of our nation, depends on it. As such, I am providing all documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the American people deserve. All right. So, Department of Justice. We seem to have someone there that is possibly influenced not to go into these areas. All right. Pam Bondi took the bar exam. So what and passed it, and she's a bar lawyer. British accredited registry. There is a bar. We're under that bar. They're above that bar. They don't take people that are above the bar to justice. Only us. Right? So I'm not criticizing her. I think she's a fantastic person, fantastic probably lawyer that's done a lot of things, but she is being restricted by the bar. It has to go. The bar has to go away. We have to make our own legal system here in the United States, not something that's being influenced, controlled by Britain. Hello. So I don't see it going anywhere, guys. Nothing has ever gone anywhere with this stuff until people like you and me get together and say, bullshit, 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 and we start to make our own courts. We need to make our own courts. It's our civic duty to make our own courts and start to hold these people accountable, try them in a court of the people, and then maybe some of those people, once they see we've done the work, maybe we'll get one or two that are brave that'll come down and maybe start the process of actually moving this forward. Me and you talking about this may move it forward, because stating our intention to do our own court may move this forward. So that's why we do this. That's right. Hell yeah, let's go. All right, I love it. Hell yeah, let's go. Here we go. All right, so let's go down this rabbit hole a little bit more. So we know that a lot of this stuff is controlled by money. All right, they basically have gone in and done illegal things to make money. Human trafficking, we know that's a big thing. Trump has shut down the border. So human trafficking, one of their main money sources, has basically been restricted tremendously. It's not gone away, but has been restricted quite a bit. So there's lots of other things, I believe, that are being done to restrict it as well. And these go from, shutting down the border to going after, like I've talked about and other people have talked about on my show, the mortgage money fraud, money laundering scheme that a lot of the political establishment have done. President Trump and his team have been exposing that Adam Schiff. It looks to me that he may he may go to trial. There's been other congressmen and senators have done it before, so it's not anything new. That is something that's possible. It's 5:55 here on the West Coast. All right, so it's not something that's not been done before. So maybe it's going to happen. So it's the universe saying yes. All right. So if we start to see little things like that go, like Adam Schiff basically being, taken out of the Senate, he should have never been in the first place. Probably, I pretty much guarantee you the guy wasn't elected, right? In California, everything's so corrupt is just disgustingly beyond belief, right? So he's probably going to get yanked, and maybe some other people. All right. So we've seen some very suspect stuff in New York and Georgia and so forth. So we may see some of these people stand trial, and that could be, the low hanging fruit, and then we start to move up. It could happen. So we'll see what Juan O'Savian says next show we got. I'll ask him about that specifically. All right. So the money. Now we're moving into something like I talked about. I talked about when Trump, before he left office, he did Operation Warp Speed. And now we know that Operation Warp Speed, because I was like, I don't even care if President Trump says it's safe. I'm not getting a shot. And 20%, I think, maybe a little bit more, but 20% of people didn't either. That's not high. Those aren't good odds, right? 80% did get the shot, 20% didn't. All right, so we know that when the Obama administration came in, they pushed it hard. They pushed it really hard for that vaccination. And I believe that Operation Warp Speed was to get that out as fast as possible so that he could start to vaccinate people with something that was not going to be toxic, right? And he got a lot of people vaccinated. So there was a lot of you out there that benefited from that. And then Obama came, or not, well, pretty much Obama, because Joe Biden wasn't there, right? So Joe Biden comes in and they push the bad vaccinations, guys. We know that. I said it was going to come before the vaccination program even came. I had insiders that were telling me it was going to be bad. There were going to be batches of it that were going to be like horrifically bad. That was going to break America, right? And if we, mama bears, and a lot of us hadn't really pushed back hard on it, everybody in America and probably the world would have been vaccinated, and we would be looking at a different world. Transhumanism, all kind of crazy stuff. So that's happening already, but not on the level that they needed it to happen. So Trump pushed something. He's like, do you want the shot? Go get the shot. I got it out there. He's had all the talking points. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people went out and got the shot because President Trump said it wasn't bad. So, but he didn't say it was good either, did he? Right? So he didn't say it was bad. He didn't say it was good. He says there are plenty of options out there. He even talked about a lot of those options. He talked about hydroxychloroquine. He talked about a way that not infrared, but what's that? Is it violet light? What is that? That light that basically cleans, kills bacteria. I can't think of the name, but anyway, I remember he talked about a pin light that they could put down into your lungs and clean it. And everybody thought, oh, he's an idiot, all that stuff. I looked it up, and it was real. UV light. Thank you, old soul. All right, so UV light, something they were pushing a lot. And Trump said there's all kinds of different stuff out there. You don't have to get, you don't have to worry. There's a UV light that can go into the lungs. And everybody laughed. I looked it up. It was real. I put it on my YouTube show. And guess what happened to that YouTube show? It went whoop right away. Right. So I talked about hydroxychloroquine on Facebook. Whoop. Canceled. All right. Not completely canceled on Facebook. I still was able to post. I still am able to post, but heavily restricted, right? And I talked about, the benefits of hydroxychloroquine, just a ton of stuff. Then eventually I got into, going out in the sun, because they were trying to like make us stay inside. I was like, get out in the sun. I was like, high doses of vitamin C. Intravenous vitamin C was very effective in China and in France, and they had studies on it. I talked about it. Whoop! YouTube took it away. That I got to put that information out. I could take it. I would take it. I would take it down. So I would get it out like I'm doing a video right now. I would do the video. I'd be like 30 minutes. Looks good. 1 hour. I feel it. We'll yank it. So, and then it got to the point where, like right now, I'd be talking about it, and they shut me down while I was doing a show one time, and just pulled that video. All right, and then you guys know that was out of YouTube for years. So, so Trump had said he did Operation Warp Speed, and he had said all these things. There's different modalities out there. A lot of good doctors came out with different modalities. Several of them died mysteriously, right? I went to events, and I used to wonder why Trump doesn't shake hands. I heard about that, and that there's several people throughout time were not into shaking hands. And germaphobe. No, it's not germaphobe. It's because they will put on a fake covering over the hand, and they'll have a super toxic bioweapon right here. When you shake, you might die. And I almost died a couple of times. And I know I've had friends that have died, right? So they have different ways to get this into us, right? So got to be very careful with this stuff. You got to be very careful with the information that comes out from the Trump administration, because he does a disinformation campaign to basically disclose. So do I think he's doing another one right now? I think it's possible. I think it's very possible that he's doing another one. Now, Trump pledges to prevent U.S. central bank digital currency. He said that he will not be allowed in the United States a digital currency, central bank digital currency, CBDC. I've talked about this on many different shows, how this would basically take away our freedoms completely. He says, I also remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. Trump's comments came amid the signing of the guiding and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins, Genius, right? Act into law. So he's reiterating that he's not going to allow the digital CBDC for central banking, right? All right. So is this another Operation Warp Speed, guys? And then we need to really look at this, right? Because and I have a lot of information for you. I'm going to share it with you. So you have to be mentally involved. I put something on X, and I got heavily attacked, right? This is just, hey, you might want to like look at this. And the people went freakazoid, right? In their statements. So kind of like those people probably that thought it was okay to go get the vaccine because President Trump said it was good, right? So did you guys anyone out there go get the vaccination because President Trump said, it was good because he worked hard to get it? Operation Warp Speed? Anybody? Right? Probably a lot of you, unfortunately. So, all right. Stablecoins. So this whole bill is about stablecoins. Stablecoins are not stable. I can speak from experience, right? There was a stablecoin called Terra Luna in May of 2022, and I was invested in it. I made a lot of money on the ramp up of Terra Luna. I can pick them, but sometimes I don't pick them when they're going to go away. So Terra Luna was one of those. It was a stable coin. It was tied to the US dollar. That's a stable coin. So imagine, if you will, we go into a future time and you had bought something with Terra Luna. You had bought a house with Terra Luna, right? And Terra Luna, went to zero, which it did, and took away tens of thousands of dollars of my money and a lot of other people's money. There's probably hundreds of millions of dollars that were lost on Terra Luna. Stablecoin collapse in May 2022. The Terra ecosystem was attacked and undermined by some entity that had a lot of backing, a lot of money, deep state-ish, right? They came in and they decimated Terra Luna and it went to zero. And then they blamed it on the guy that invented it and tried to put him in jail. I don't know if they ever did or not, but they were after him. The impact, the collapse erased an estimated $45 billion in market capitalization within a week. It went down in days and hours. It was like, I looked at it, I was like, because I've watched, Bitcoin and a lot of other coins. They'll lose a lot of value, and then they'll snap back, right? We've seen that with all of these coins over time. If you're a savvy investor, you're like, okay, they're going to do another splitting of Bitcoin, and everything's going to go up. Bitcoin's going to go up, and it's going to go up for a couple of years, and then it's going to go down. It's going to go down probably about half of the value, or maybe even more, 3/4 of the value that it was before. And then when it starts to, and it's going to stay there, it's going to start to slowly ramp up, and then eventually someone is going to split it again. Magical splitting. There's not as many Bitcoins, and then it goes up again. The halving of Bitcoin, right? And then Bitcoin rockets up, and then the other alternate coins, and then the coins below the alternate coins go up, and then after a year or two, they go down again, and then we repeat the cycle. That doesn't sound stable to me, but that sounds like a good way to make money if you understand the pattern, which I have done. But I did Terra Luna, and I lost tens of thousands of dollars on Terra Luna. For a lot of you, that would be a lot of money. For me, when I have like a lot more money in crypto, I was like, that was a loser. Boy, how did that happen? It's a stable coin. It's not stable. And that's what this genius act just came in to say. They're trying to say stable coins. We're going to make the world a better place because the dollar's going to be tagged to stable coins. Is that where we're going? Because the dollar should be tagged to gold, which is real, right? Crypto is not real. It's just somebody saying this is how much value is in this alternate reality thing that's out there. That's all it is. If we have the internet go down, if we have like a shock from the sun and everything goes down, your crypto ain't gonna be worth crappy, right? But if you got silver and gold, you'll be able to trade it and trade it for big stuff. If you have a lot of dollars that are tied to Bitcoin, stable coin, it's not going to be worth anything. It's going to be like Weimar Germany, where people came in with wheelbarrows full of the Dutch mark or whatever it was, and it was, you couldn't get much. You loaf of bread for a barrel full of money. Yeah, EMP, Ed. So the sun does EMPs. They've done it before. So a country could come in and EMP us, or we could EMP them. So stable coins, we have to be very careful here. What is going on here? What is going on here? Right. So remember FTX. FTX in November of 2022 or 2022. Yeah. So May you had the collapse of Terra Luna, and then in November you had the collapse of FTX. Once one of the largest crypto exchanges collapsed amidst allegations of fraud, mismanagement, and the misuse of customer funds. A lot of people that had Bitcoin with FTX lost it. So if you have it in a stable exchange, you can lose it too, guys. And that's why a lot of people say, put it in your own wallet, make your own wallet. But if there's some kind of EMP event, a Carrington event from the sun, everything's getting fried. You're not going to have it. So I'm very suspicious of what's going on here with this Bitcoin stuff. All right. Yes, it could be at some point. It could be some form of barter. Will it be the end all? No. Silver and gold, tangible, real. Would you like one Bitcoin? I'll give you this Bitcoin for your car, and this Bitcoin is worth what is it worth now? 118,000. And yeah, we can ask Mario. Hey, Mario. So, and it didn't start with Mario? I don't know. Those little gold coins. I never played that game, but my kids did. So it's what, and you're like, my car's worth 28,000. You're going to give me like a Bitcoin worth 118,000? Sure. And then I get your car, you get the Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, like it does, collapses. It goes way down. Goes all the way down to like the last low, I think, was like 17. Let's say we go into a deep recession or a, I don't know, depression like 1929. You think that Bitcoin's going to be worth a lot? Because when the stock market goes down, that stuff goes down with it bigly, right? So I'm very suspicious of what is going on here, because I completely trust President Trump, but I'm like, what is going on with this? Because I know from experience, hard-earned experience, that the stable coin bullshit is bullshit, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Get vaccinated if you want. So, crypto crash, stablecoin collapse sends tokens tumbling. The Terra Luna token fell from a high of 118 last month, so this is back in time, to 0.9. I can tell you, I still have my Terra Luna, and if I could get 9 cents for it, I would be like, wow, that's a lot. So, but at one time, like I said, it was worth tens of thousands of dollars. Now it's worth shit, right? All right, so the term crypto crash has been trending on Twitter and Google search. So everything collapsed after Terra Luna, guys. After the combined market value of all cryptocurrencies is now reportedly 1.1 trillion back then, about a third of its November value, with more than 35% of that loss coming this week. One Bitcoin is now worth 27,000, its lowest value since December 2020, and down from a high of nearly 70,000. So it collapsed. Everything collapsed very quickly, very fast. And if we have stable coins and they collapse and the dollar's tied to it, that's very dangerous. I don't know what's afoot here, right? I'm the guy that asks the questions, and maybe we'll get a good answer. Now, one gentleman that I hold in high regard is Gregory Mannarino. He has his own YouTube channel, does really well. This is what he said today, July 19th. Lions. So he calls everybody that follows him lions. Reject the stablecoin system. This new stablecoin law passed in the shadows and signed by President Trump. Now he's not a fan of any president. So if he bangs on Trump, which he does, he banged on Obama, he banged on Biden. He had the funniest terms for Biden, Bidenstein, and all kind of crazy stuff. So it was pretty funny. But now he's kind of banging on Trump too. So I'm like, okay, he's like a comedian. He gives everybody a shot at it. He goes after everybody. It opens the door to full tokenization of your life, the CBDC. That President Trump said he would not allow. Right? Privatized digital money with no constitutional authority. A Fed corporate alliance that controls access to everything, programmable compliance. This is not just about finance. It's about removing the Constitution brick by brick, replacing it with a tokenized prison. Reject the system. Don't trust it. Don't comply. Don't integrate, because once your life is tokenized, every breath will be owned. Every breath you take. All right, so let's watch a little. So Catherine Austin Fitts, the Solari report. She came out with a little bit of information about that, and she was also on another show, and I'm gonna bring that up, and she's going to talk about this. And she's not a fan either, and she's one of the most savvy people that's out there that talks about money, and she's been talking about money and how it's been weaponized, and 21 trillion that was missing from the DOD back in the day, and now and they stopped basically having audits in 2015. So this was during a 10-year time frame where basically 21 trillion disappeared from the DOD. And so how much is missing now? And she talks about HUD, the Housing Urban Department, and she was kind of part of that during H.W. Bush's term. And so she said $1 trillion is missing in that. So there's a lot of money that's basically being, taken away. And could this happen like we just saw with, a couple of years ago with Terra Luna, which basically disappeared in 45 billion, boom, gone. And then all the crypto crashed. And all my other crypto was doing well too until that time too. So I was pretty bummed. So not only did I lose that, but the value of all my assets went down quite a bit. All right, so that's not good. All right, so the value of the dollar since Trump's been in office has gone down quite a bit, and he has wanted it to go down. All right, so the dollar, the world's exchange. Everybody uses the dollar. Most everybody, not Russia anymore, but pretty much everybody uses it. And if it's going to continue to be the world's reserve currency, it's going to have to be stable. So are the stable coins, which are not stable, going to make it stable? Stable coins, which can be disintegrated within a very short period of time. FTX, where people maybe will hold their stable coins that are valued in dollars. And like FTX basically went away in a day, right? And all people's money is like, where's my money? So, and there's been more. There's been other ones that have gone down too, guys. I'm just giving you a couple. But there's a stream of coins that have gone away overnight. I've been invested in some of those. I've been invested in winners, and I had a few that were losers. And I have been on exchanges like Dogecoin at one time. They weren't on the main exchanges. You had to go in these rinky-dink exchanges and get Dogecoin. And that's how I made a lot of my money. But on some of those exchanges, some of the coins that I had basically disappeared with those exchanges. Those exchanges, like I tried to go in to get it, it was like, what happened? It's like, then the exchange is like defunct. It's gone. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Well, it wasn't that much money. Oh well. But you know, a few $100s of Dogecoin way back in the day turned out to be, you know, tens and tens of thousands. I mean, 100,000. It was insane. So, what were stablecoins? So, here's give you a little list. I go into it for conversations that she has with no gentleman has a big show out there, a really big show.
The play is it's financial warfare. Yes, first and foremost.
This stablecoin is a war.
Yeah,
it's a
100%. Yeah,
and so one of the things I've been thinking a lot about scenario design is stablecoin is a way to turn on the helicopter money like you've never seen it turned on before, and the guys who control how that money can literally buy up the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're time. That pairing is the first pair, and then what we will see is a move away from Bitcoin and maybe treasury notes, and a move towards the tokenization of real world assets.
Right.
That will be sort of play into, you know, you've done some very interesting work on the land grab element of this. Right. And I think when you're incentivizing you know, players to come into these digital systems, and you're talking to some farmer in the global south, and you're like, hey, I'll pay you, you know, 1,000 tethers to give me the air rights over the land, you know, the air above your farmland, and it seems like they're not giving up anything, and they're getting $1,000. Well, that $1,000 in 10 years will be worthless. Or maybe they'll blow up Tether and it will become worthless, but they've got the rights to the land, and they figured out a way to basically make nature a debt sink as well, and they'll use stable coins as that instrument to buy up things, because we know at the end of the day, the U.S. is going to do whatever it can to to keep the net purchasing power of the U.S. purchasing economy. They don't care about the individual dollar. We've seen the individual dollar move up and down plenty of times.
Just think about this. At the inauguration, the U.S. dollar index was 109. Today it's 96.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not an administration that cares about the dollar.
Yeah, I need that. So, what is this? Federal Reserve through this. Those of you that are in some of these coins, I would be very, very cautious. I've been saying this for a while. I don't have a good feeling about this, right? But maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. All right. This is the Stephen Gardner show, and Catherine Austin Fitz goes into a little bit more detail about this. So this is fascinating work. I've followed her for a long time. If you've never even heard of Catherine Austin Fitz, this is amazing. I think this is a treat for you. You should start to look at some of her work in the future. She's absolutely amazing. All right, so here we go. Let's share it. Sharing the screen. 1, 2, 3, go.
Back to the money stuff. Trump, they just recently held this vote for this new crypto bill. There's a lot of talk about the stable coin. What is the stable coin? Is it good? Is it bad? What should we be watching for?
So let's break this up. The Genius Act has passed the Senate and the House and is going to the president's desk to be signed.
The president signed it.
You have a market structure bill, and the Genius Act is an act that describes what they're going to do with stablecoin. Okay. The second act is a Market Structure Act, which is to create a regulatory framework for all other crypto. And then there is an anti-CBDC act that is a group trying to stop the stable coins from being a backdoor CBDC. Because of course the risk is if it passes, I don't know, it's very much in flux now, but if it passes, we have a very good chance of ending up with basically the digital concentration camp, turning the financial system into a digital concentration. So you have a group of people in Congress, Massey, Green, a company who are trying to stop this. You have a group of patriots who are trying to stop it. And we have to see how it comes. The market structure bill and the anti-CBDC have been passed by the House. They're now going back to the Senate. They have to go through the Senate, and then go to the president's desk to be signed. And once that happens, we'll know what this looks like. Now, one of the things this looks like is there is a plan by the Trump administration to basically use stable coins working through the mobile payment systems. Billions of people all over the world who use a currency other than the dollar to come onto the dollar. So you're basically trying to attract everybody around the world who's using a different currency than the dollar. You're trying to make it easy for the dollar where you can pass by a lot of the controls that are in the current banking system. So here's the banking system, here are the train tracks. And you're coming in with stable coins and saying, okay, all you guys on all these other currencies, get on the dollar. Now, the way stable coins work is every stable coin, let's say I buy a dollar, I'm in Bolivia, I buy a dollar stable coin. That dollar under the Stablecoin Genius Act has to be collateralized by a bank deposit or a treasury bill. And what is expected is that this will flow billions of dollars into financing the treasury, because the treasury, is our debt is skyrocketing in the United States, and that's financing enormous amounts of fiscal largesse, and what I would say is terrible, terrible corruption by Wall Street and Washington. But that will keep that game going. But the other thing is that.
All right, I hope you guys heard that, because you sometimes you zone in and out, but it's good you got me to basically point stuff out. She's basically saying that this stablecoin thing is going to continue the corruption on Wall Street. It will continue it. Now, we've all been, believing that this whole system was going to crash. So this would have the potential, as she is saying, to keep the game going for a long period of time. She's saying another 10 to 15 years.
Will dramatically improve the market share. So the hope is to the dollar and 2 years as a currency.
Maintain that hegemony around the world, the world reserve currency.
Right, but keep this very corrupt game of fiscal largesse going by pouring money into the treasury market.
Okay, interesting.
All right, so it gives the dollar, continues the hegemony, and U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. But unfortunately, it keeps the corruption in place. So probably the Federal Reserve, which we all believe should be going bye-bye, would very possibly stay there, and the IRS and all that bullshit, right? So what is the game? What is the game? So you have to keep eyes wide open, right? And if you don't, you can get burned, right? There's nothing stable, like I told you guys about stable coins. And like somebody said in the chat, once they can mint as many stable coins as they want, just like the dollar, once they get that authority. So, real money is silver. Gregory Manarino has been, he, like me, invest in crypto, when it's good to do so, and make money. Make money on the sides, you know, and I'm very good at that game. So, a lot of people think that XRP is like the digital future. There's it's like it looks like they're using it as a roundabout, a backdoor to take out the Swift system, use XRP. So I've seen that. I was like, XRP, that's amazing. So it's going to be the new Swift system. It's even more efficient, faster. But what does that mean? Because we know the Swift system is, they use that to control a lot of countries. They use that to try and control Russia, because they took Russia off the Swift system. But Russia and their buddy China, which has their own little Swift system type thing, Russia started working with China's Swift-like system. So there's a lot of stuff out there. So I think China does have a CBDC system in place, and they definitely control their population with it. So we have to be very, very Nasara. I've talked about it for a long time. So has a lot of other people. Nasara, as they've been talking about it, is, I don't think it's ever going to exist. So it has to be something else. Some people have thought the cryptocurrency would be, blockchain would be the thing of the future. It can be, but still you have to have silver and gold. You have to have something tangible, because right now there's nothing tangible. Nothing tangible about it. And it can, like we talked about, it can go up and down like we've seen it, XRP included, can lose half its value very quickly, and then even more. And then it'll come back and regain that value, and then more. So it's a very shaky, shady system. Now, Juan O'Savin has said Bitcoin was a creation of DARPA, and that if Hillary Clinton had gotten in office, and I remember everyone was talking about Bitcoin's going to $1 million. Remember those many years ago, all the way back to 2015 or so? Everybody was saying Bitcoin's going to $1 million, and everybody was saying it, and I was like, I don't know. And surely enough, when Clinton didn't get in office, as Juan says, it didn't go to $1 million because of that. All right. So, Juan is like me. He's also very much into silver. So, just be heads up, guys. Be heads up about what's going on. And who knows, maybe it's going to go, and then it's going to be a rug pull. It's going to be like, oh, we got everybody in it. Like, whoop, now we got control of you. And that this is it. And if you get out of line, then you don't get this. And so, All right. So, In-N-Out president Lindsay Snyder reveals her family is fleeing California for Tennessee. Right. Tennessee, which is another state like Nevada and also Florida that is no state tax.
An office in Franklin, so I'm actually moving out there. And
wow, how do you feel about that? You're like a California girl through, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really loved living in Northern California. I'm so thankful that I grew up there, because I think it changed a lot of who I am today. I think I would be different if I was raised in Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
But there, like you said, there's a lot of great things.
How many people have eaten In-N-Out Burger? Go ahead and put it in there. So for me, I don't like Five Guys is good, but In-N-Out is like by far the best, and they're a Christian organization, and they're very, very good. I love it. I don't very, very rare that I eat fast food. I had an In-N-Out burger the other day, and it was like the first I've had in probably years. But I would say the In-N-Out burger is probably one of the better burgers out there. I believe it's legit, right? So she is basically leaving California, which a lot of other people are too, like myself. I left California a long time ago. I'm next door to it now, which is, kind of nice, but I don't even like to. I haven't even though I'm like in Nevada, right next to California, I get the heebie-jeebies when I like drive the road in California. I'm like, it's not a good feel state.
California, but raising a family is not easy here. Doing business is not easy here. Now, the bulk of our stores are still going to be here in California, but it will be wonderful having an office out there, growing out there.
Totally.
And being able to have the family and other people's families out there. And so in that, it's two-part. We'll have everybody under one roof here in Baldwin Park, and we'll close our farm.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's a big transition, and that's happening in the next few years, right?
Yeah, we've kind of given it a longer runway so that it's smoother for everybody, so they can plan and all of that. And we gave them a lot of notice, because we love.
So they've had some problems in some of their venues where hoodlums come in, cause all kind of problems. They call the police. The police don't show up, and they've had to I think maybe actually shut a few of them down. So, some people said they think In-N-Out's disgusting. Everybody has their own taste. So occasionally I like it, but that's what we're seeing. Basically, people are pulling away from a lot of the suspect areas. California, New York, they're leaving. A lot of people are leaving those states, and there's still good things in those states, but like I've said that I was going to go visit San Francisco, and everybody thought I was moving to California again. I was like, no, I'm just going to go over there and see how shitty it is now, literally on the streets. So I don't think California's going to turn around anytime soon. If we get free elections, then maybe, I don't know. But like the Obama, is Obama going to be arrested? Why France is losing one religious building every 2 weeks? All right, so we have I've seen it in all my travels in the Middle East, guys. Islam is doing everything it can to destroy Christianity. All right, so I said it. One religious building is just disappearing in France every 2 weeks. Now, this is back in May 4th, 2021. So let me just give you, we know there's been fires in cathedrals like Notre Dame. Fortunately, I saw that before it burned. In Rouen, where Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. So that's a beautiful church, though. Our cathedral. That was burnt. That partially, one of its bell towers was burned. They were working on it just like they were in Notre Dame, and it burned. Very interesting, right? So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on. So the unforgettable image of the burning cathedral, which circled the planet 2019, where Michael Obama was on a boat on the scene, and she's drinking wine or champagne or something, and you can see in her glass Notre Dame burning. So they're so bad. So while these they're talking about these statistics, demolition, transformation, destruction by fire, or collapse. 2/3 of fires in religious buildings are due to arson. 2/3 of them. So yeah, occasional, because France, we went to Paris and for a couple of weeks, and it was like, and same thing when we went to England. We went to like cathedrals and after cathedral, they're just like magnificent pieces of history, right? And the cathedrals are built so that when you go into them, you actually tap into higher consciousness. They resonate at higher consciousness level, like delta theta level. Absolutely amazing. And then the church bells are also designed to do that as well. So says Catholic monuments, which still represent a large majority in France, where there are roughly 45,000 Catholic places of worship. Although Catholic monuments are still ahead, one mosque is erected every 15 days in France, while one Christian building is destroyed at the same pace. It creates a tipping point on the territory that should be taken into account. So we've seen this in some cities in America where we're starting to see mosques come in and cathedrals and churches basically go away, right? I've seen this all over the world. Well, not all over the world, but in definitely the Middle East, massively in the Middle East. It's very sad. So it says most recent figures. Now, remember, this is article I'm reading is 21, so 4 years ago. It's gotten worse. The unforgettable image, like we talked about the Notre Dame, and over time they've basically refurbished it. It's good to go again. I think, did Trump go there? I think he might have gone there. So it says, according to the most recent figures, 2011, from France's Central Criminal Intelligence Unit. So this is not just bullshit that's out there, right? 877 attacks on Catholic places of worship were recorded across the country in 2018 alone. These figures have increased fivefold in only 10 years, Lamaze said, noting that 129 churches were vandalized in 2008. So that's fivefold increase, right? Beginning in the 1970s, writer and journalist Michael Michel. They called me Michel in France. I was like, no, oh well. De Saint-Pierre published a book entitled Iglesias en Ruin, Iglesias in Peril, Churches in Ruin, Endangered Church, in which he already sounded the alarm in the 70s. But the situation has heightened tenfold or even 100-fold since then. All right. So every time there would be some type of violence that would occur, rioting, the Muslims are very emotional. They're taught not to be analytical, right? You can go in. I remember seeing this. I was in Pakistan, and a group of us, 3 of us, went into a restaurant, and we had one person coming in behind us, and we was like, we need 4 menus. So he looked at us, and so we sat down, and he gave us 3 menus, and we were like, we have someone coming, we need a 4th menu, and he could not comprehend it because there was not a 4th person. So we walked away with the other menu. So then our other guy came, and then he brought the menu. But that is very typical of the Middle East. They're very emotional people, and they don't have that analytical processing, right? So it's more of the right side, creative side of the brain than it is the left. It is what it is, right? Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. Quite a lot of them. All right, so and so they get very emotional very easily, and then they get violent, and then take that violence and they take it out on churches. So I've seen this, and they take it out on Christians. I've seen this, and they get to the point where they're so violent they kill Christians, right? A lot of Christians, and they desecrate Christian churches, burn them, like we're talking about right now. So this is throughout the Middle East. And you're saying, what, France is not the Middle East? Pretty much it is, right, at this point. So that's unfortunate, because wherever there's churches, like when I was in Turkey, in Istanbul, the old church, because Istanbul, remember that was Christian, big Christian, all right, for a long time, and then the Muslims raided it, and then it's Muslims, all right. Change hands. So now the Christian churches have walls around them, and they have guards around them. And when you go through a gate, there's a police officer usually that's there that makes sure that someone doesn't come in, because you'll walk the streets and you'll see where there are remnants of Christian churches. And Turkey is very, very, very middle of the road. They're not hardcore Muslim at all. Very, very, very easy place to go to and visit and travel and so forth. But still, those Christian churches there are they're threatened. So you can be a Christian there, and I didn't feel threatened whatsoever. I mean, who would feel threatened with me, right? Because that's some of the people are like, oh my God, when I saw you walk in, I was like, oh my God, that's like, he must be some like super soldier type guy. It's like, well, kind of, yeah. But and that's some of the waiters that would say that when I want to go in the restaurant. So it is a problem. It is a problem, and it's not going away. It's getting worse. All right, so let's look at some. So this is Tosi TV. This guy is like incredible, revealing. It was just, I don't know, just a few weeks ago, he was under 1 million. Now he's got 1.14 million. So he's putting out some really great information.
Live chat, but first, let me give you the first video and the latest footage that is coming to us. Now, last night there was a so-called ceasefire agreement. The Syrian government, led by al-Jilani in Damascus.
All right, so the Syrian government is in a ceasefire, right? And from my experience, this is an opportunity for the other guys to basically go after the Christians, which we're seeing right now.
Brokered the whole thing, but major clashes in Suwaida, which is in the southwest, this is the Druze community area, have continued. Let's go to the first one.
And this is the way it is in the Middle East. He's just like full auto. What are you aiming at? Are you hitting it? But this, does that seem like a ceasefire?
Ceasefire. What ceasefire?
All right. So you can tell by that, the trigger action there. There's no analytical process going on. It's all emotion.
Absolutely messed up. Now, what makes this depressing is obviously the last few days we had the IDF intervening. Then the international community told the IDF to withdraw. Disturbing, but it's important to show that this is a level of intimidation. I'm not going to show you the video from the rooftops, but this is also messed up. Civilians.
So I don't know if this is a Christian or Druze, but they've really been coming after the Christians too. But now they're coming after the Druze as well. The Druze are like a multi-religion type. They don't really believe in any particular religion. Some people say they're Muslim, but they don't subscribe to being Muslims themselves. So, but they kind of get lumped like that. So there you're going to see where this guy puts his shoe on this guy's head, which is the ultimate insult in the Middle East.
And they're filming it as well. proudly filming this. I'm going to skip the rest of this, as you can tell.
All right. So obviously this is a problem, right? I've seen this for decades, and I see it coming to America. There's whole towns now in Texas that are Muslim towns, and in Michigan, they're all, and in New York, and they don't integrate. They basically take over, and it's not a good sign. I want to give you guys just a little piece of this. There was another one in here that where is that? Here it is. Now, does this look like ceasefire? All right. So Islam is pretty much communist. Democrats are pretty much communist, and they are inviting a lot of this in. Right now, here is Mike Huckabee. He is a U.S. ambassador to Israel, so he has gone, like I'm talking about. They are destroying Christian churches. So he's gone to this one village in Ramallah. So we know how everybody's like all for the Palestinians. Meanwhile, the Palestinians are burning Christian churches, right? Huckabee visited the village of At-Tebe near Ramallah, where churches were set on fire, and stated, so he's trying to be politically correct. He was governor of Arkansas, right? He ran for president. I like him. He's a good guy. And stated that desecrating a church, mosque, which rarely ever happens, or synagogue is a crime against God, right? Usually the synagogues go before the Christian churches, but when there's no more synagogues, they work specifically on churches. United States Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, made a rare visit today, Saturday, to the Palestinian village, and said at the end of his visit, he said, a quiet village with many American citizens affected by vandalism, including arsons at an ancient church, desecrating a church, mosque, or synagogue is a crime. So like I said, I work for all American citizens who live in Israel, Jewish, Muslim, or Christian. When they are terrorized, who have they been terrorized by? Muslims, right? I will say that word for you, Ambassador. All right, so radical changes are coming to the financial system. I had this other one by Catherine Austin Fitts. Should I play? I'm going to play a little piece of this one too. So I'm going to end it with this because I think this is very important. Because obviously, from my post on X, people are starting to go hook, line, and sinker for this digital whatever, right? Stable, unstable coin.
The Fed opens the door. A new era for stablecoins is just around the corner. Oh, no, don't tell me this. The Fed is ready to finalize stablecoin, here's the key term, regulation. Okay. Chair Jerome Powell emphasized that the U.S. is now closer than ever to establishing a comprehensive legal framework for stablecoins. We're going to regulate. In other words, with regulation, you don't need Congress. You just kind of tweak your regulations yourself.
And now, my big question to you is, will the Fed now system work with stablecoins? Because if it will, John, then what you're talking about is this global push with stablecoins will literally put the Fed in charge. And what we may be looking is the Fed workaround to having to get legislation for CBDCs.
Well, I think that's exactly right. The Fed read the room correctly on CBDCs, understood that it wasn't going to ever.
So there you go. They couldn't get their own CBDC, which they would be in charge of and completely manipulate everything in our lives, guys. So they did a workaround with stablecoins, I believe, and you can believe what you want, but I'm going to give you the information. Watch. The best that we can do right now is be observant, see where this is going, see what this all is about. What are they trying to do here? I knew that, the vaccination, Operation Warp Speed, it was a ploy. Is this another ploy? Is this another ploy to like I don't know, like when you look at the Matrix, how they like would go into somebody and they go, and then one of the bad guys was in there. Are we trying to do that to them? Are we trying to send in this operating system that's going to go and destroy them? I hope that's what it is. I don't know that for sure. I did know that with Warp Speed. I put it out. All I can do is look at this. I don't have anybody in the financial, but I will try my best to get other people to come in and talk about it. But they're going to talk about it from their point of view, right? A lot of people are invested heavily in crypto in multiple ways. They want to see this thing go forward. They believe this thing can go forward. On some level, I believe it can go forward too, but I think this is very shady, bringing in under the Fed. Like you saw, they were talking about regulation. That is never a good thing, especially with the Fed, which is not federal and they don't have a reserve, right? And now they're going to have stable coins. Yeah. Very, 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 very suspect. All right. That's all I got for today. You know the deal. Stay in the love vibration. Send love to everybody, even the baddies, because that basically destroys them, right? So I send love to the Federal Reserve. It hasn't destroyed them yet, but maybe whatever's going on here, maybe that's going to be the thing. I don't know. It's suspect. All right. Talk to you later.